Hi guys, happy Tuesday and welcome to the morning after. I am your host, Sharleen Joynt. So, I'm joining you today from Time Inc. in New York City. My friend Caila and I, Caila Quinn from Ben's season, just did People Now where we recapped the show, and so I'm in the Time Inc. offices right now. So as usual, I will start with my Maltesers hashtag Light Goals moment, and as you know, hashtag Light Goals are a play on life goals, and they are decidedly more lighthearted, attainable goals. And so I thought long and hard, because this was a pretty serious episode. There wasn't a ton of light goal material. However, I thought if you're going to have an ex, in this case Ross, come on the show to win you back, I thought he was so civilized and so actually non-confrontational, considering he had just flown to Peru. I thought, you know, why not a light goal be like good at confrontation and good at, and be polite throughout it all. You thought he was going to come on and be like, hey, I'm going to fight you, I want my girl back, and just be all aggressive. And he actually was a very civilized conversation where Ari was like sipping tea and he was like, I just really love her, she's the love of my life. I just thought it was so civilized, and yeah, why not can we all be civilized in life? So that's my light goal. And so I have a very special guest today, Miss Caila Quinn.
Hi, Sharleen. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm very excited. I asked her, I was like, would you please do my morning video with me? And she was like, of course, and she's the sweetest. So
simple, yes. So
yes, we are going to be hashing out episode 9 of The Bachelor. So, okay, we're going to start with Kendall's overnight date. And so they go sand buggying.
Which looks like the best date ever. I need to sign up.
Yeah,
like tomorrow.
It looks super cool. I loved the tenuous connection between sand buggying and falling in love. Of course, this, you know, whenever you do any activity, it's like,
there's highs and lows.
Highs and lows. Yeah, it's scary, but it's rewarding. Yeah. I thought it was interesting how Kendall was frustrated with herself for not being more ready, as though she were the not normal one in that situation.
You know, the funny thing is she's so introspective.
Yes.
And she knows
almost to a fault.
It is a little...
Yeah, I love it, but it's almost to a fault, I feel like.
But what's great is she knows what it takes to be in love. And she knows the difference that she's not in love. Because other people will just cop out and say it no matter what.
Totally.
So I thought this was a very beautiful scene. It felt like a part of a movie where she's like in the desert thinking about, I don't think I'm loved yet. Yeah. So hopefully...
That's well put, actually. Yeah, just she knows what it takes, while a lot of people just think they're in love and they can't even articulate why. She's like the polar opposite of that. Okay, I will say though, I feel like the amount of effort it took Kendall to get to this place of falling in love and being able to admit to falling in love, and she came to the point where she said, I feel like there's no effort to say that, I don't have to hold myself back. I wrote, you know, and at this point I didn't know she was going home, that it would be pretty terrible to send her home after getting her to that point.
It would. It
would.
You just build her up at the top of the sand dune, and then you just bring her down.
Axe her. Yeah.
Aww.
Anyway, I loved Kendall.
I love her Kendall, too. I think you're right. She was nice and quirky.
Yes, very quirky. Okay, so then Lauren has her overnight date, and Ari tells her that he loves her. It was pretty big.
Yes.
I also felt like it was necessary in that she seemed to need that, but it also feels like Ari keeps having to up the ante to keep her from feeling too insecure.
She is so insecure. She needs so much validation. She said over and over again that she was in her head, and I kind of understand that because I was in my head at this point too.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
you were totally, yes, you were absolutely.
Yes, I was on a bamboo raft and I was overthinking everything.
You were the overthinker.
Yes, I was the overthinker.
You were Lauren.
I was the OG overthinker.
Yeah.
And the thing is like you're gonna blame yourself for any wrong move. So I get why she was in her head, but she just needed to take a deep breath and be confident.
Yeah. Totally. I feel like what I'm missing from this relationship, or at least especially last night, was like the ease and comfort to balance out all the, you know, fear and pain and worry about what's to come. I just feel like we don't get enough banter and just effortlessness.
I agree. When you're in a relationship and you're comfortable, you don't even worry about whether it's not meant to be.
Yes.
You know?
It should be easy.
Yeah.
At
Easier.
least, at the very least.
I'm so with you.
Yeah, and even the morning after, I just felt like there weren't giggles and like morning kisses. It was like, I actually wrote this down. It was all about the relationship. They talked about how much they love each other, how they feel closer to one another, how it gets harder before it gets easier, but it's worth it, etc. It just felt hard.
Ooh. And you know what? You would know best because you're married, you know what it takes to be in love and have this sustainable, healthy relationship. And you're right, it should be easy.
That's my biggest thing. People are always like, is it really easy? And I'm like, actually, when it's right, it is easy, I guess. Okay, moving on. Becca. Right off the bat, these two laugh together in a way that Lauren and Ari don't, I think.
I agree. Their natural chemistry is so obvious to me.
Yes, yeah. It just seems, again, easy. And I don't know about you, I felt uncomfortable watching him go straight from telling Lauren he loved her to telling Becca he loved her. It's just like back to back.
I agree, because I don't see the differentiation
in terms of their relationships.
Yeah. It just felt like the same kind of I love you. There was no
like musical chairs kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. No qualifier. That's well put. Yeah. And for me, we were just talking about this on People Now, but it kind of feels like he doesn't really know what he wants. And he's getting like a little in over his head.
I agree.
Yes.
He doesn't know what he wants, and he wants them to tell him that they're sure.
Yes.
Because if they're sure, then I think it'll reassure him.
Yes. It's like there needs to be sureness all around, but I'm not feeling enough of the substance to get to that point.
Totally. There's so much insecurity in this whole cast.
Yeah.
It just feels like the girls and Ari, they're just not sure in general.
Okay. Okay, one more thing about all the I love yous, because this is something that bothers me. I feel like there's just free-flowing I love yous. There's a lot of I love you, and he says I love you, she says I love you, and then they make out, and then we see it happen with another girl. But I feel like I need to have confessionals from Ari. Like, we need ITMs of him being like, I'm torn. I just told her I loved her. Like, I felt like we weren't getting talk from him about what was happening. It was just as though this were normal.
I think you're right.
Ben Higgins broke the seal, and now everyone's allowed to tell more than one woman that.
No, that is not normal in society. I think that's good coaching for the producers and the editors for next year. Yeah. That they should really fill in those gaps.
I would have liked those. Yeah, I would have liked to know what his mindset was and all that. Okay. Anyway, Ross, Becca's ex, appears.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. How awfully convenient that this happened right after her.
Her 101.
At one point she said, she was like, today of all days. It's like, that's not an accident.
Yeah.
He did not just arrive. I said this in People Now. I felt like Ari was angry about Ross, but I felt like, given he had just told Lauren he loved her as well, I didn't really feel like he had a huge place to be feeling that. And, like, well, we just told each other we love them. It's like, we're in a really good place. It's like, I believe that they're in a good place, but I don't know. I just felt like she doesn't belong to you.
Totally. Yeah. He the way he described it, he was so like assured that she wanted to be with him forever.
Yeah. He had someone else who he had just told he loved.
Right. It's kind of confusing.
Yes. Okay, so the rose ceremony rolls around. There's not much to say here. I wasn't that surprised it was Kendall, just because he seems further along with the other women.
Yeah.
But I thought it was classy of him to pull Kendall aside first.
I think at this late in the game, not the game, but this late in the show, it is important that he does that, because these are real feelings, and you would feel so crushed if you didn't even have a conversation about it and were broken up with.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
But that happened for you. You had that conversation. It did not happen at a rose ceremony.
Right.
And you probably prefer it that way, correct?
100%.
Yeah. It's like you don't want to stand through a rose, get all dressed up and stand through a rose ceremony to not get a rose.
I think the comparable feeling for like everyday life is if someone breaks up with you via text and you're just shocked. Yeah. And you just have that face.
Yeah. That's well put, actually.
This is more of a in-person thing.
You got a conversation. And on it, at Final 3, you deserve a conversation.
You do. Yeah. You just probably put out. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe they did.
It's very possible. Okay, so I have 3 reader questions. First is from Lauren. Do you think the ex swooping in at the last second bit ever gets old? And do you think the person being dropped in on, Becca in this case, really has no clue this is going on? I think she had no clue.
She looked totally surprised. Yeah,
I think
she was like, how did you know where I was?
Yeah.
She was in the middle of Peru.
Yeah, I think she had no clue. I think the ex swooping in, I didn't feel it was old because I felt it was different. Like, this was a 7-year relationship. It didn't feel like a guy that just wanted to be on TV. It's possible, that was he was happy to be on TV, but it didn't feel like that's why he was there.
Right.
I felt like what she was saying, that you live your life like you're in a movie, was accurate. Like, I feel like he thought this grand gesture and being dramatic would win her back.
And then throwing her these flowers.
Yeah.
These are for you.
Yeah, these are for you. You don't want them, and these were for you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question's from Sandra. How do you feel about how Ari handled the Ross situation?
I think Ari was, such a gentleman. He heard him out. He let him vocalize and say what he came there to say. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, just so you know, I think you're wrong. I think that we have a great relationship and your time has passed. Yeah. So he was very logical. He didn't get into a fight, and he used his words and not his fists. So
yeah.
Bravo.
Well, yes. You just answered that one for me. I completely agree with everything she just said. Okay, final questions from Jen. What do you think about Ari saying, I love you to more than one woman?
I think you kind of
I think we've covered that. I don't love it. We just did emojis and people now, and my emoji over that was the angry red-faced emoji. I think that he's not thinking long-term enough. One of these women has to go home, and I don't think he's thinking that far ahead. Like, you are really going to hurt someone by raising them that up high only to, pull the rug out.
And I think he's covering his bases. He's saying, I love you to multiple women, just so he can, at the end, say, like, well, I told,
Yeah, I think he wants to feel, like, really confident in all his relationships, and, like, I guess he feels he has to say that to get there. Mm-hmm. But I think that you can really hurt a person and give them major trust issues by telling them you love them and then not picking them at the end of this. There's no doubt both Becca and Lauren think they are winning this thing.
100%.
100%. So I'm not into that. That's my answer to that. Okay, so finally, don't forget to participate in the Maltesers #, Rose Goals Challenge. Each week you predict who you think's going to win, and I mean, you're watching the show, you might as well put in your predictions. Go to flair.com/themorningafter to enter to win. You can win a trip to Toronto, so you might as well.
I want to win?
Yeah.
I want to go to Toronto?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm entering right now.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, lovely Caila, for being my guest.
Thank you, Sharleen.
And I'll see you guys here next week to discuss the grand finale. Sure to be the most dramatic ever. Okay, bye guys. Thanks.
Bye.